Is now the right time to be booking a cruise for 2021 or even 2022? We're going to be going through the pros and the cons of that in this video up ahead. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website and blog lifewellcruise.com, and today what I'm going to be doing is talking about, well, what's on probably many of our minds, which is it a good time for us to book a cruise in 2021 or 2022? Now, I do think it is a good idea. However, there are, I guess, a few cons, if you will. And really, I do think that rather than cons, they're more like things you should watch out for, things that you need to be careful about when you are booking your cruise. So let's get into that information now. But before I do, I did want to mention that if you do like this video, if you find it helpful or enjoyable in any way, please do give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And as well, please consider subscribing to the channel. So let's get started. So first thing, it might be very obvious, but if you have a bucket list cruise, something that you really wanted to do, whether it was canceled from last year or not, maybe one thing we've learned out of everything that's happened is we have to do what we want to do now. Don't wait, plan it. So if there is a cruise maybe to Alaska, to the Mediterranean, to South America, even if it's a Caribbean cruise, Southern Caribbean, whatever it is, if there is something you want to do, that is reason enough to book that cruise. Now, let me know, please, in the comments. I just love to read these kinds of things. What is your bucket list or your most dreamy cruise that you might take for 2021 or 2022? And I'll leave my comment down below as well. Secondly, if you have any future cruise credits because you have a canceled cruise, 100% start looking now for what you can book, especially if you have more than one. They have expiry dates and you do want to make sure that you are able to use these. 3, make sure you get your preferred cabin. Do you really want a balcony? Maybe you want the aft balcony and you want to be able to see the wake. Maybe you want a suite. Maybe there's a certain location that you really want on the cruise ship. So make sure to book early. And this is advice that is good advice all the time. Always book early for the best cabin choice. But something we do know going forward, at least for the next year or two, is that balcony cabins are more sought after than inside or ocean view cabins. So something to keep in mind if you do want a special cabin. 4, do you have a specific cruise ship that you would really like to sail on? Maybe it's a favorite cruise ship that you just really like, or maybe it's one of the new cruise ships that's coming out in 2021. So it could be maybe the Carnival Mardi Gras, or maybe you want to get on the Celebrity Apex or another cruise ship. If that's the case, then definitely that is something you'll want to look at and make sure you book now while there is still availability for next year. Number 5. Now this is more of a tip, but look out for those reduced deposit promotions. And oftentimes you might have Norwegian Cruise Line or Carnival or even Celebrity or Princess, Royal Caribbean, that will have reduced deposit promotions. And basically what that is you can actually book your cruise with a really small deposit. So in that case, you can even hedge your bets and you can book 2 or 3 cruises up ahead. And this way you're really not making a huge commitment. You're just putting a small deposit, which I will talk about refundable deposits versus non-refundable deposits in a couple of minutes. But that is a great way to book your cruise for next year. Number 6, another reason to book your cruise now for next year is because of flexible cancellation policies. Now, cruise lines know that things are uncertain. People aren't 100% sure what is going to happen in a few months or even next year. So what they've done is they've put in flexible cancellation policies. And basically, in most cases, we can cancel our cruises up until about 48 hours before the cruise, even if there's something that we just don't like. So this will not be around forever. So do check the terms and conditions, but this is around for at least the next few months. So it's a really good time and reason to look ahead at those 2021 sailings. Number 7 has to do with cruise pricing. Now it's hard to know, will the pricing be better if you wait to book until another few months or even next year, or is the pricing better if you book now. The truth is we really don't know. But what we do know is that if you book now, and this is advice really all the time, if you book early, if the price does go down before your final payment, you can almost always benefit from that lower price and promotions. So it's always better to book early. Something else to consider is the fact that it is possible that the cruise pricing can actually increase next year, especially on some of those sailings that are really sought after, some of those cabins that are really sought after. Now, I'll go into a couple of reasons why. Firstly, we know that a lot of cruise ships were either sold or scrapped, and so that, of course, puts a little less availability out there. At the same time, we do know a lot of people have those future cruise credits, and therefore people are going to be booking. So I think if there's a sailing you really want, a cabin you really want, I would definitely book it. And then what I would do is really just keep an eye on that pricing to see if it does go down, call your travel agent or call the cruise line and have them lower it. I have another little tip for you as well. If you see a sailing you really like, don't just look on the cruise line website to see what the price is. Take a look at some of the travel agency sites. So it could be the online sites, those big ones that you know about, and it could be even a local travel agent that specializes in cruises or somebody online. But do always compare the pricing, because it is possible that they have a special price or a special promotion, especially if we're still early, they may still have that. So do take a look for that. So I hope so far these tips have been helpful. And if they have been helpful, please do give this video a like. It's a little reminder. And as well, please let me know in the comments below. Now I'm going to let you know the things that you really need to watch out for. Number 8, let's talk about deposits. Now be very careful, well, under any circumstance, but especially now, be careful with the type of deposits. There are refundable deposits and there are also non-refundable deposits. So what you'll want to be careful about is making sure that you have maximum flexibility, especially now. Now, personally, I always like the refundable deposits because when I book early, I just don't know what I'm going to be doing in a year and a half from now. I can't know 100%. So I like that flexibility, but especially now, you want that flexibility. So most of the time, the price difference between a non-refundable deposit and a refundable deposit is negligible. So really do take a look at both options, but make sure that your deposit is refundable. Number 9, hold off on booking any of your flights. Now, there is a caveat to this, so I will explain. But in general, try not to book your flights early. And the reason for this is, let's face it, the cruise ships aren't sailing yet. Once they start sailing, once things are under control health-wise in the whole world, we'll know more and we'll be able to book those flights. But for now, with the uncertainty, personally, I would hold off booking my flights, but I do have a caveat, an exception, and that is cruise line air. In some cases, cruise line air doesn't need to be paid for right away. You can still book it, you can still hold it, and oftentimes the pricing is actually really good. So as long as you're holding that air, but you don't have to pay for it, and there's no risk to you, and it's refundable, the deposit, then there's no reason to not book cruise line air. One of the companies that I really like for cruise line air is Princess with the Easy Air, but check other cruise lines as well. Sometimes they do make you pay it in advance, so that wouldn't be the same thing. You do want flexibility, and even with Easy Air, be very careful that you book a flexible air and not a non-flexible air, because then you will be really stuck. If you are interested in knowing more about cruise line air, I do have a blog post where I go into a lot of details about the pros and cons and things to look out for, even for the future. So I will leave that in the description down below. Number 10. Now, something just to be really aware of and be careful of is to make sure that you're keeping track of all of your purchases, all of your cruise expenses. And the reason for this is that we noticed that during all of these cancellations, when there was such a large amount, that it was really a bit confusing for the cruise lines. And in some cases, there were little mistakes that were made when refunding amounts back to a credit card and that kind of thing. So do for yourself, just make sure that you keep track of your expenses, your excursions. So whether or not you've used maybe maybe a credit card or a gift card or a future cruise credit, which credit card, just make sure that you do write that down either on your phone or in a travel planner, cruise travel planner, anything that is convenient for you. So I'm excited to hear about what your future cruise plans are. Please let me know in the comments below what cruise you have either booked for 2021 or 2022, or what cruise you are planning on or thinking of. Now, if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. It really actually helps me. And at the same time, please consider subscribing to the channel if you like cruise vlogs, cruise news, and cruise tips and content like this. Thanks so much for watching, and happy future cruising.